We're getting very upset on the media, sort of saying, well, you know, this is aggressive and this is not New Zealand and this is all sorts of things. And my response to that is always, I was born and bred in this country, and as long as I can remember, everyone has been allowed to wear whatever they like as long as they follow basic standards of decency. So why does it matter to anyone else why I wear this? I'm not asking you to. And I really find that sort of getting stressed out about it very odd, and always have done. In New Zealand, I think Islam can offer hope. That's one of the most important things that it gave to me. We have one of the highest youth suicide rates in the world. And too often, so many large portions of our population are being told they're failures. I was brought up that the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Islam, it is completely different. In Islam, your intentions are valued, your intentions are rewarded, your intentions are everything. So if you do something and your intentions are good, but you actually don't execute it properly and you get it wrong, you aren't a complete failure. You actually have achieved right up to the point where it actually went wrong. Yes, you still have to deal with whatever mess it might have created going wrong, but you're not a failure. And I think that is something that New Zealanders are very bad at doing, is giving credit where credit's actually due, even when it's in small amounts, and it's small amounts that can give people hope. I also think that I remember when I was very small at a Sunday school class being told about crabs and how it was so easy for Christians to be crabs. We would be taught to walk straight on Saturdays and we'd walk sideways all the rest of the week. What Islam provides through the fact that it is actually tailored for humanity, it understands human frailties and human weaknesses. And for example, if your meal is ready and it's time to pray, you eat, then you pray. If you need the loo and it's time to pray, you go to the loo and then you pray. And the whole structure of having the 5 daily prayers means that if you've started to walk sideways, even partway through your day, when it's time for salat, for prayer, it just focuses back in again, calms things down and puts you back on the right track. And all the way through, you're being given the opportunities to follow a peaceful Islamic lifestyle. And it's actually not at conflict. There's no concept of original sin, that you start off bad and you've got to try and be good, and chances are you're going to be bad anyway. You actually start off as good as you can possibly be, and it's a matter of trying to maintain that throughout your life. I recently read an extraordinary book called Salmon Fishing in Yemen, and the Sheikh character in that book, he made the statement that faith comes before love and before hope. And I think that is just so true. And Islam is a faith that allows you to keep shoring yourself up all the way along. There's been a huge increase in knowledge since the September 11 attacks. I mean, they were absolutely horrific, and I shudder at the very thought of them. And if some good has come out of them, it has been a greater awareness of Islam, and not just from people wanting to find out about it, but also from Muslims making it more available. Because so many Muslims have been brought up Muslim, Islam is like what they were taught at home, and because of the very big difference between Christianity and Islam, in that if you ask a Christian person to tell them about original sin, or to tell them about Jesus and Mary, peace be upon them, they'll tell you. If you ask them what their faith is about, they'll tell you. If you ask a Muslim, they'll say, I'm not a scholar, which was interpreted in quite a different way from how it was actually meant. All that they were actually saying when they say, I'm not a scholar, which is what I say these days, is that I am not best qualified to answer that question. Whereas what I think the Muslim community in New Zealand has become much better at is then providing information as to who to go and talk to or where this information actually is available. I've found no conflict between being Kiwi and Muslim, none whatsoever. If I was working for somebody else, there could be difficulty praying Asr, that's the afternoon prayer. It would be quite easy to fit in all the others, and I imagine from the people that I've worked for over the years that the only difficulty would be where you actually go to pray, because most places you can take a 5 or 10 minute break. Most Kiwi employers, my employers have primarily been small business, tend to be comfortable employing people who look like them and behave like them. But that has changed enormously even in the last 10 years. For example, my hairdresser, who I was the first Muslim she'd ever met, she's now employing a Muslim girl, alhamdulillah, and a hijab-wearing Muslim girl too, in a hairdressing salon. And it's working out very well, alhamdulillah. And she actually said to me the hairdresser said to me last time I was in there, because she always gives me the last appointment, she makes sure there's no other clients around, she always puts the blinds down, those sort of things. She said, I would have missed out on employing her if it hadn't been for you, because it simply wouldn't have occurred to her. Too often it's interpreted as being racist, whereas more often than not it's a matter of the same problem that I had initially with not wanting to go to the Islamic Centre, simply not knowing how to behave and not giving offence. I mean, New Zealand is largely a very inclusive and accepting place, which is often undervalued, I think. When I went to Melbourne in 2000, and this is before September 11, within half an hour of getting off the plane, I was wearing hijab, I got spat at. And even at the very worst of times here in Wellington, that's never happened in New Zealand. And I think it's very important that we don't allow ourselves to be ghettoised, and that Muslims keep interacting with non-Muslims, because in Melbourne, you literally turn a corner from one suburb to the next. In one suburb you won't see anyone wearing hijab. You turn the corner, and not only are there salami selling halal butchers, but there are women in headscarves and men in Islamic dress all the way down the street. And yet, a block away, you won't see one. And I was told many times on that short trip that I was in an area, because I was staying in South Yarra, that Muslims shouldn't be staying in. And I think that's a lesson for New Zealand Muslims and non-Muslims alike, that we need not to get in that situation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.